Hey everybody, this is Diane. I am just going to have a little bit of casual play today. Um, I did a little bit of work on some ephemera for our Sunny Sam book, and I have some gluing to do. So that's all I'm going to do. I just thought I'd turn the camera on. I did go to the memorial service that I had mentioned previously, that I had to play the piano for, and it wasn't bad. I did fine with it, and it was wonderful to see um, the children. They're all grown up, of my former pastor, and who used to be my friends, and it was very wonderful to see them again. And so it was good. So I just want to do something low stress and casual today. I just feel like I want to get in here and do a little something. I did show the Sunny Sam book in Saturday's video, and I showed some papers that I had dyed with food coloring in orange, green, and blue. And I had mentioned that I left some sitting on the counter to dry overnight instead of putting them in the oven. And so that's what these papers are. And it does give a different effect because the water stays kind of pooled on the paper. I lay paper towels down on my counter, and I lay my papers, when I pull them out of the water, when I'm coffee dyeing, or in this case food coloring dyeing, I lay them on a paper towel before I transfer them to a cookie sheet and put them in the oven. So, but for these, I just left them on the paper towel. And you can, sometimes the paper towel leaves its textured designs onto the papers. But I like that. Let me show you an orange one that was dried in the oven, and you can see the difference. So these dark areas is where the paper really sticks down to the pan, and the other parts aren't just plastered to the pan. And that doesn't happen with these, but the paper is pooling, or the color is pooling, and I really like the way that looks. This one has a lot more orange in it. It looks very pale on the camera, and it is pale. It looks like a creamsicle, but I don't see as much color as I'm looking at my screen on my camera, but maybe it'll show up on the video, I don't know. And the green does look better. It looks pretty blotchy where the color pooled, but you can see more of the color, which I like. And this one has some blue in it too. There was a lot of blue dye on the paper towels, and then I just went ahead and laid the green paper onto, it had been dipped in the green food coloring, and I laid it on the paper towel that was saturated with blue. So I was hoping some of the color would transfer like that. It was fun playing, doing that. Now this one also has blue. For some of them, I actually took my fingers in the other colored dye and just kind of dripped it on there to try to get multicolors on the papers. This one you can really see the paper toweling design on there, and that paper tore, unfortunately. Look at all the paper towel marks on this one. Can you see that pattern? And I love the bright blue. This paper was from a tablet that I got at a flea market. It came in that box full of old magazines and other stuff. I don't know what that sound was. So there was this tablet of old paper, and I just colored some of that along with these. Alright, so let's get into doing some ephemera. I told you that I had a whole bunch of these die cut shapes from different colors. I went through my stuff that was already die cut, and or punched out, I mean, and I just chose colors, the orange, blues, and greens, and yellows that go with this cover. And so last night I was watching a movie, and I just started putting the pieces together and stapling. So I have more than I need for this journal, and so these will be added to my stash, but I will use some in this journal. And then I also put together some fabric flips, which I don't have over here. They're over by my sewing machine because they need to be sewn. But I also took some tags. I had the tag shapes cut out of 6x6 papers or just cut off pieces of paper. So I had background, a substrate, or whatever you want to call them, pieces, and then I had decorative pieces. So I kind of just paper clipped them together while I was watching TV. This is a printable. I actually had this in my, I don't think it's actually, you can't call it a printable because I didn't scan it in. I just made a copy of it. I have that old piece of paper. So I might make a belly band out of that. But for these other things, I took my tags and little pieces that I had cut and chose embellishments for them. And so I'm just going to glue them. I still have more that aren't done. And this is probably more than I need for making one journal. But like I said, I'm just playing, and I can add some of these to my stash for other journals. I have some music here that was printed for church, and it's ready to be discarded. So I use that to rub my glue stick on if I'm using glue stick. So I'm just going to have fun embellishing these pieces, and you are here to chat with me, work with me. This is a piece that I had made a long time ago by taking cardstock, and then I just glued little strips of leftover papers to it, and then it was a bigger piece, and then I just die cut it with a die and got that. So I am adding to this little strip that came out of a children's dictionary. I'll just cut that to fit there. And then this quirky piece that was a piece of vintage Victorian ephemera, and I made that into a digital. So I'm just going to add that there because there are quirky characters in this Sunny Sam book. So I'm using fun, quirky things in these pretty bright colors that are on the book cover, and I'm already having fun just working on, just gathering things. And do I want to use this side? I think we'll go with the yellow. Looking for those colors and gathering pieces, and I know I have more stuff gathered than I need, but I don't know which ones I'm going to want to use. I think I'll use my Scotch glue here. I'm hoping that I'm going to have a more relaxed week, I guess. I want to work in here. I want to do stuff in my craft room, but I don't think that I will be having to go and do as much as I have been the last few days or weeks. So I hope I can stay home and do stuff in here, even if it's just puttering. I said I wanted to putter for a while. And this is, I consider this puttering, and some of these pieces will end up in my Sunny Sam journal, but I'm just puttering by combining all of these things were in my stash. These background pieces and the embellishment pieces are all things I just took out of my stash, and I'm using them, which is one of the things I wanted to do in puttering sessions. So this could be a tuck spot or a journal card. That's cute, isn't it? This will be easy. I have this gorgeous piece of, it's a 6x6 paper. I think it might have been basic gray, but I'm not sure. But I just love this. It looks like it's layered papers and torn away. Really fun. And I found this in some old ephemera I was going through. It's written in German, so I think somebody sent this to me. And I thought, how perfect is that to put that there? And yes, my fingernail is still blue from dyeing my papers. But I think I need to put something behind that butterfly piece. So let me just grab some scraps of colored cardstock. So I can find one. I have this green one. I think that would work. There. That green just helps it stand out from the background. I like that. This is just white on the back. So it can be journaled on. If I use it in this journal, Sunny Sam, I'm not going to be vintaging things up. I'm not trying to make things look old. I want them to look bright. I think that's a little crooked. I was afraid of that. Maybe I'll sew that down once the glue dries. Now I'm just getting glue everywhere. And let's see, what do I want to put on the top of that? Let's try this, see how this looks. I'm gonna punch a circle. This might be too big. It's a 2-inch circle. And just fold it in half. Yep, that's too big. Although, I do like that. Yeah, I'm going to glue it on. Yeah, that's fine. And punch a hole in it. And add some seam binding. Let's see, I have orange. Might as well leave that out. Let's see, orange, and there's a couple of blues there. It's a pretty bright green. Maybe I can use that color, that ombre, or that green. And that green circle on the back helps add a little color to the back. Alright, now I have this journal card. And this is a Victorian piece. It actually came out of the scrapbook. And it's gold and blue. And I thought the blue was a nice blue with the colors that I'm working with. And I'm just going to add a little bit of color behind her with this yellow ticket and a orangey kind of flower. Now this didn't cut out very well. There's pieces it didn't cut out, but I'm going to put those pieces behind her so they won't be seen. Put her where I want her so I can add these elements. I tried them at an angle and I thought they worked better just putting them straight in. I want to make sure I put those parts that didn't cut out right behind her. That looks cute. So this book is going to be filled with fun little characters just like the story itself. I didn't read this story, but the pictures and the captions show what funny, quirky characters were in this book. Just white on the back. What do I have next? I have another one of those shapes that I made with strips of paper and just this little piece from a old Stampin' Up! Paper pad that I've had for a very long time. I've had this piece in my ephemera, so I'm going to use it. It's really cute. I think I will put a little green ink around the edges. This is a Stampin' Up! Ink. I think it's, what is it, gumball green? Yep, gumball green. Wonder how it would look if I put a little green around the edges of the card itself. I guess I'm just so used to inking edges that even if I don't want to make it look vintage with vintage photo, I have to do something. So I don't, oh, that came off. I don't know if I will put some green ink around the back edges, but I might, but not on this video. Okay, this is a piece of 2 scrapbook paper cutoffs, and this arrow was cut off of something. So I had these all sewn together. It was a longer piece and I cut it and used it. So this is left over, and then I have these flower shapes cut. So all I'm going to do is glue them. And you can journal on the back, or I will make it sturdier and use it as a pocket. That was a bit too much glue. That was pretty easy. I love this flowered piece. It looks pretty modern, but this little girl is Victorian. And she's a printable. But I thought putting them together was really cute. So I wonder if I want to use one of those colored doilies that I just dyed. Put it on this side, then the roses will be right side up, if anybody would even notice. This has a faint green tint to it. Might not look it to you, but it does. I was off camera, but I just cut that little piece of doily off that was hanging over there. I think I'll play up the green a little bit and just rub this inked blending tool over it. It makes it look more green. that looks pretty, just like that. I'm going to go with this because it won't scooch out all over like the other glue is. This will come out in a thinner line. I'm kind of talked out today because I talked to a lot of people. After the memorial service, there was a lunch. And I talked to a lot of people. So I only have so many words in one day. And like I said, this is just a casual, no stress play. And I'm having fun. I hope you are having fun. When I was putting these elements together, I was excited to be able to actually make them permanent and see how they all looked finished. Wish I had more of this green. I like her. She's cute. I have another tag here with some children under an umbrella. She's holding a doll. I had this piece that I stamped and it's too wide, so I just cut it. I'll split it up and add the children and some numbers. I've noticed that I'm getting more comments that are critical or even rude comments. And I try not to let that discourage me because, you know, one rude comment on a video is a lot less than the other nice comments that I get. But it's hard to not take it personally, you know? And I had one lady who was very rude, and I replied to what she had said, and then her response was excuses. I was just making excuses for the criticism that she gave me. I just deleted the comment because I don't need the negativity. But I just wish people could just be nice. Can't we be nice? What she criticized me for was just a matter of taste. It's this is the way I do it. And if you don't like it, don't buy my journals. Whoa! Popped it right out. I hope I have time to do a few more. Yeah, I've got time. I guess I did cut that. I was thinking I didn't cut the circle, but I did. So what color of circle should I put here? See what kind of scraps I have. Not that one. Maybe we'll try this green. Sorry. I think we'll go with the orange seam binding. So I had all these bases already cut, the tags and journal cards. And I did one session using some of these with, I think I put Mrs. Cog's images on the bases that I had already cut, but I still had a bunch left, as you can see. So that's what we're working on today. This one, I used my tag punch that has the tag shape at the top. And I have this flower that I punched out of a book page, and this little boy throwing a snowball. Some of these Victorian images are in my shop as digitals. I'm not going to ink around the edge of that. I'm just going to glue it on the way it is, because it's a light color against the black background, and it's got a nice contrast. Dropsy today. I've got some orange colored reinforcements because I colored them with ink. Well, that kind of matches the color of his coat. There. I have another one of those backgrounds. And I'm just going to put a ticket and some bright colored numbers on. That's pretty easy. Let's just do a journal card since we've been doing a bunch of tags. I'm going to do this journal card. This will be quick also. I think I got this card in a Happy Mail. It does have a number on it, typed on 570, and then somebody stamped these stripes on there, which is really cute. So I have this little baker boy that's from an old Victorian advertisement, and I'm just going to add some numbers. So what do I need to do with this? That's something I could do with some of my solid color scraps, is stamp some background stamps on them and then collage something on top. Sometimes you like to know my thought process, so I'll tell you I had this going this way and this the opposite, just for contrast, but then these two lower ones were both going the same way, so I switched it to that way, which meant I had to change that one, just in case you were wondering why I was moving them around like that. I've had these numbers for a very long time. It's from an old Stampin' Up! Paper pad. So this was a 12 by 12 sheet of these pretty numbers. I had 2 sheets. I think Stampin' Up! Came with 2 sheets of each design. So that's what these numbers are too. And then there were 2 pages with the same style of numbers, but they were done in a brown and cream color. But I love the bright ones. This one's going to go this way. I'm having these 2 numbers overlap slightly, and this one is overlapped by the little boy, just so nothing is floating by itself. Sometimes I have something floating on its own, but mostly I like to have them touching a little bit at least. So that could be a journal tag. If I'd put it that way, it might have made a better tag. Might be a pocket. Because I have lots of tags. So this is just going to be quick. Glue these things on. I have a cute little girl. She looks like a little Dutch girl. So I'll do her next. She's going on a pretty little polka dot tag. And then I might be at the end of my video. I don't want my pieces same level, so this one is just a little bit lower than the ticket. Where did I put my reinforcements? I didn't put them all away, did I? No. Oh, they're up here. See what other colors I have ready. I like the blue because of that blue, but there's only one. Got a bunch more I can color. There's only one left on there. There's some blue. I'm going to put this one on the front because it matches that number. But I'll put one of the darker ones on the back. And by the time you get your seam binding in there, I don't think anybody would notice that they're different. It's a cool day for July, the last day of July. Breezy, it's perfect for me. It's in the very low 70s. But I had to close my windows because there was someone mowing the lawn and somebody revving their... My neighbor has a big muffler on his car and he likes to sit out there and rev. But all that stuff is done now, but it's getting hot in here because I closed my windows. So this is the cute little girl. There's marks here. This is a copy of the original Victorian piece that I have. So she's either a girl from Normandy or Holland or something, but she's so cute holding her kitten. And I thought she looked adorable on this blue polka dot tag, and I have these little tags that I punched out with some tag punches. So that's just going to be a quick and easy tag also. But I want to put some blue ink around that. Let's see, I have this one that says Pacific Point. That's a pretty blue. I will end up inking the back, but I'm not going to take the time for that today on the video. These are thin papers, so I'll just use my glue stick. You could use washi tapes to decorate these. I just wanted to use some of my ephemera bits. Okay, here they are. I'll use the blue ones for this. And I'll use this light blue seam binding. Alrighty. So I have these two that I will finish. You can see the elements I'm going to add. And I thought about doing something with this. I have these corrugated pieces that I punched out with my 2.5 inch. This was a die cut from my big shot, so I could layer them together. And then I had this in my ephemera. That one's off center, so this must be the right one. So I just stamped that butterfly onto cardstock and cut it out. So I might put those together and make something with that. So those 3 pieces I didn't get to, but let's look at the ones that I did. We did most of them. So we have the butterfly, and they're all just white on the back. Pretty simple, but very fun. Thank you so much for watching, and come on back to see how I incorporate some of these into my Sunny Sam bright colored journal. Have a creative day today, and I'll see you soon. Bye-bye.